The ask for me was to talk about the past and future of trust studies as it relates to the interests and needs of business leaders and managers. And many of you likely know that we've been studying trust for 21 years from the perspective of trust in institutions. And we survey 33,000 people across 28 markets. And we look at the tectonic shifts in business, media, government, and NGO. And what we've seen over that time is these shifts from trust going from vertical and to horizontal across peers. Then we saw it kind of break apart between the opinion formers and the general population. And then we saw trust become very local as of late, and local specific to trust at work and trust in business. And in this past year, we saw for the first time that business is the most trusted global institution. And in fact, my employer by many points above business itself. And this is for the first time outstripping the other institutions and the only institution that is seen as both competent and ethical. And, for us, the interest in understanding the state of trust has never been higher. We've seen more and more that our clients and within the marketplace, people want to understand the state of trust. And so we found ourselves over the last year in particular, really turning up by a notch or two what and how we're studying the state of trust. So you'll see here that we've looked into specific topic sets: trust in the coronavirus, trust in racial justice and business in America. We're about to undertake a global study on trust and climate change, but also from specific stakeholders, consumers and their view of the relationship between brands and trust. The belief-driven employee, as we call it, looking at employer-employee trust, and our, I think, 4th annual institutional investor trust research, which is coming out in October. And again, we've seen right now we're at this sea change that's happening in terms of where business fits in the trust continuum, where employees and people are placing their trust, and how that's raised the expectations with both activist consumers and activist employees. And that's not activist in a negative way. It's just that the upside and downside based on expectations and the raised bar of expectations has shifted. What we found is over the course of our years doing this research, there was more and more demand from our clients to understand trust specific to their company. And so over time, what we did is looked at a set of a diagnostic to understand trust at a audience level, a net trust score, not dissimilar from a net promoter score, but derived from the question that we have asked people over those 21 years, do you trust X to do the right thing? And then a set of dimensions around trust that we honed in partnership with academia and based on a deep study, both of our own work, but of others' work out in the marketplace. We now, in the last year alone, worked with about 165 companies using this diagnostic to understand trust in the organization or trust in a brand. And as I noted before, a lot of times what we're seeing is that on occasion, this is just trust for a single audience that will study for a client, but more and more it's cross stakeholder, as our clients see that trust is really becoming the kind of foundational currency of the stakeholder economy, and understanding where they sit and can they use this also even as a management metric to understand this intangible, as intangibles like ESG have proven that they have real value to the marketplace. And we believe more and more our clients see trust as something that is a source of value creation and a source of value destruction. So there's the diagnostic component of trust. And then increasingly, as we look to the future, there's trust activate. Can we help our clients guide either their decision-making or what and how they communicate in their action? And can we see what kind of impact that has over time applied to the right KPIs? And can we then in turn help more and more companies build trust in institutions? So what are the kinds of questions that are being asked of us? Well, we have clients who are looking to treat trust as a way to tackle latent trust demand, right? So earn a trust premium. And there are clients we work with in the CPG space and retail space and others where they see an opportunity to stand out in the marketplace and earn that premium, or even design it into their business. We've seen, of course, clients are looking to navigate complex decisions like which markets they can and can't enter and the permission and or what changes they need to make to enter that market. We have clients who are really looking at trust just across the board as this core intangible that their board wants to understand, and to overcome a trust deficit, whether a breach of trust or a long-standing issue, and really understanding the drivers of that so that the actions have a tangible impact on the business in a way that's measurable and that is in concert with what stakeholders are expecting and how they're going to be held accountable. So as we look to the future, we see that there's an evolution of trust that it's really moving to become a business imperative, which can show up in a range of ways in how companies are applying and measuring it as a management metric, a little more tactically to understand whether it can have impact on turnover, and it have impact on, we might even be looking at pricing premiums. We see that there's a gap right now in understanding trust as a driver of performance outcomes. We've measured it from what a set of stakeholders say they would do, but then matching that with their behavioral actions is, I think, part of the future. And there's a lot of running room there over the next, I think, 24 to 36 months. And then in marketing sciences, taking the data around trust and around individuals and seeing if there are different ways to engage in the science of trust differently based on whether it's using NLP to analyze and understand data more quickly than just using survey-based to get an understanding. So I think I did my 10 minutes. I tried to go relatively quickly, but at least hit the high notes.